Yeah, so I recorded this EP with my band back in Philly. Ryan O'Grady recorded this with me, which was an awesome experience. And then I actually brought this record to Nashville with me. And I found some awesome women engineers who mixed and mastered the record. I'm so glad I found them. They totally brought these songs like from a two-dimensional like recording to three-dimensional like works of art, and it's been an awesome process working with them. Easier is a fun song for me. It's definitely one of my favorite songs to play live, especially with a band. Easier is kind of like looking at a relationship or a quasi-relationship and recognizing the fact that sometimes it's easier to not shut a door on something and to keep a line open, or it's easier to not identify things and talk and communicate, but maybe that's not the right thing. But then the song shifts into my own life, and it's easier for my coping mechanism to be to self-isolate and do kind of things that are self-destructive rather than like take a look in the mirror and do like the healthy thing. So I really like Easier because it's calling like my exes out, but it's also calling myself out. Most of this EP I actually wrote in my parents' home in New Jersey. I recorded this EP before I moved to Nashville, and my favorite room in my parents' house is the living room, but it's the antique room. It's filled with antiques from my mom and dad's side of the family. So there's a lot of like farming tools like on the wall, like they're like saws and stuff, but my mom's side of the family was tailors and dry cleaners. So there's like antique sewing machines and buttons. It's just a room with like a lot of good juju. And I love lighting candles and sitting on the floor and just like writing out some of my emotions. My favorite song on the record is actually Alive. It's only like 2.5 minutes. It's definitely me wrestling with like life meaning and purpose. And I wrote it right after I spent a night kind of just staring at the night sky. And I kind of had that feeling where you have when you look out into the ocean and you see that everything is so big and you're so small, but with the stars and the galaxy. And that feeling is really comforting to me because any problem that I think is so big in the scope of the universe is actually like so tiny. So being able to have that perspective and go through that experience and write that song was really special to me. Leaning is one of my favorite songs I've ever written. There's not really a chorus to it, which I think is cool, but it's definitely me exposing the part of my life that I feel like no one prepared me for. We have a path our whole life of going through high school and getting a secondary education in college or getting a job, and when you reach the end of that path and you graduate college, in my experience, I wanted to be a musician, and there's not a path that you can follow for that. I feel like no one prepared me for the moment where the path ends and it's just like forest, and what do you do? So Leaning is about the time where I felt pressure from my parents' friends and different people in my life to like get my shit together, and I did not have my shit together.